Welcome to my channel. My name is Matthias the Corgi, and this is a series that I want to start, which is known as Unforgettable. Now, this is a short series that talks about gaming situations that were incredibly famous or incredibly infamous. We could be talking about OSTs, we could be talking about features, we could be talking about launches, we could be talking about many different things, but at the end of the day, it's something that was pretty much unforgettable. Now, today we're going to be talking about a very special series for me. It's a series that I've had, I've been following for a very, very long time. And that series is Halo. Now, here, I brought you a non-brand drink, so you can have that. Let me go ahead and just... There you go. And I brought myself another non-brand drink for me to enjoy. Now, honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing. Year is 2001, like centuries ago in internet time, and gaming is making a lot of changes. There's different types of games coming out, there's new consoles coming out, and specifically in this year, Halo came out. At the time, Halo Combat Evolved. Actually, I think it's still known as that. Forget that. Actually, forget that. It's a first-person shooter, and it's released. And it sparks a saga that many will come to love, and that includes me. I remember growing up, I used to play a lot of Halo, because it was one of the few games that I would be able to play with my brother. I would be able to play with my father. My mom didn't play video games. I mean, she did play other types of video games, but not that specific. Halo has you playing as the Master Chief, an incredible soldier, and is considered the best of the best. Now, so much so that the enemies that are in-game actually refer to the Master Chief as the Demon. Like, you can tell just how scared these guys were of the Master Chief. I mean, if you really want to go into like any nitpicky stuff, Halo is a pretty self-explanatory game. You arrive, you fight a bunch of Covenant, save the Marines, secure something important, take over a facility, and voila. You're basically done. You stop that level, and you move on to the next level. It's pretty basic. I mean, you were an unstoppable force, playing as the Master Chief. You were having a blast. You felt powerful as the Master Chief because you were powerful. Now, probably a lot of you know what type of thing I'm talking about. A specific enemy that was introduced in Halo Combat Evolved. An enemy that just teaches you not to get too comfortable with how things are going. Now, who am I talking about? I'm talking about the Flood. The Flood was first introduced, as mentioned, in Halo Combat Evolved, in a mission 343 Guilty Spark. 343 Guilty Spark starts off with pretty much the same formula you've been having this entire time. The mission starts with the Master Chief being dropped off by a pelican in the middle of a swamp, with the orders to locate Captain Jacob Keyes, the captain of the Pillar of Autumn, who, at the time of the mission, was no contact for 12 hours. Now, from the very start of that mission, something seems off. There are Covenant, but they seem to be scared and scattered. There's also the wreckage of both human transport and Covenant transport. Strange shadows can be seen moving in the background, and your tracker picks up both enemy and ally signatures. But the thing is, if there's allies, why has no one come to you? And why do they disappear after a while? And as a little kid, or a teenager, or adult, you're pretty much just not used to this type of stuff during the game. It's something different. Something unfamiliar. So as mentioned, at the time of the mission, Chief and, well, you, if you were playing it for the first time at least, have no knowledge of what transpired and no knowledge of another enemy, apart from the Covenant. Stepping into the compound provides more questions than answers. Covenant are still scattered, the facility has damage indicating a fight, and fallen Covenant and humans can be seen whilst waiting through the facility. Now, my favorite is this example here. A barricaded door, and whatever happened to the facility forced some survivors to hold up in a room. It was their last stand, which didn't go too well. Anyways, during the entire time, two things set the ambiance of the mission: the environment and the silence. For the environment, both Combat Involved and Anniversary did a good job of letting you know something's off and making you feel uneasy. But in my opinion, Combat Evolved seemed more terrifying. I don't know about you, man, but those old graphics and just stark contrast that the previous level's environments had to this one just were really well delivered. It just hits different. As for the sounds, music, almost none. The level treats you to silence most of the time, with the occasional sound from the swamp or in the facility. There's a distinct lack of music. You can hear like the occasional noise from the swamp, and inside of the facility you can hear the hum of the machines. But not much other than that. Eventually you run into a cutscene detailing exactly what happened to Captain Key's team. The cutscene, in my opinion, is well delivered because it ranges from making jokes at the beginning and then it goes to a more serious tone when you're there entering the facility because they just don't know what's going on. And then at the very end, it's confusion as to what had happened inside the facility, and you end off with fear. Now, the whole level builds up to this introduction. And during this cutscene, we're introduced to the Flood, an unknown life form that is extremely hostile and can reform living mass, similar to zombies. But when you start learning the lore, it's way, way worse than a zombie. Now, the first life form that you're introduced to during the cutscene is the infection form. What the infection form lacks in power, they make up for in numbers. Lots of numbers. Now, when I was little, I didn't really take too much into consideration, like the horror aspect of the level. I just always thought that they'd look like shrimp, like really, really big shrimp. When I grew up, I played the level again because I made myself a little bit of a challenge. If I passed the games, all of the games on legendary difficulty, I'd treat myself to a tattoo, which I have. I'm not gonna show it on screen. I mean, if you guys want to see it, like, it's mentioned in the comment section, and I'll try to post it like on the community posts if I can. But when I started playing it again as an adult, like you could tell just how much thought was put into all of the levels of Halo, but specifically that one was the one that like kind of stood out the most because it was just doing something different. Because they took the formula that they had and then they just turned it upside down and threw it out the window. So suddenly the game switches from silence and mystery to panic and chaos. Because even the chief knows it. Whatever that was that attacked this team is now locked in here. And I'm in with them. But really, let's be honest, when you're chief, it's more like, I'm not locked in with you. You're locked in with me. During that, then, like, massive, massive floods. Floods? The massive, massive waves of flood come in. Like, not too much, just infection forms, like a bunch of popcorn shrimp coming at you. But then you're introduced to the combat forms, and you realize what happened to most of the allies and enemies that were here, and what the shadows were in the beginning of the level. Also, almost forgot to mention this, the soundtrack. Yes, the Flood soundtrack. it's such a powerful soundtrack because every time you hear it, at least before, you knew that something was going to go wrong. Very wrong. Your only objective at the time then was just escape. The Covenant are panicking. Wave after wave of combat life forms starts appearing and are wreaking havoc. Now, it makes you understand why only the toughest of the tough can escape, like the Master Chief, or Sergeant Johnson, or Chip Stubbo. Now, the ending of the level has you encounter a surviving squad of Marines, and Echo 419, the Pelican, no, remember that? Like the Pelican at the beginning that dropped you off, radios you with the instructions for evac. Now, with this vital information, you all move as a squad to escape. And when you arrive, you kind of start noticing that your numbers have dwindled because not everyone's a super soldier like you. And the cutscene plays where you meet 343 Guilty Spark. 343 Guilty Spark is the current monitor of the installation that you're on, which is the Halo Ring. They're also the one who has more information about your new enemy. New to you, not so new to them. The Flood has now set the path for one of Halo's most iconic enemies during the series, having a great introduction, a great soundtrack, and a great overall design. With this, the level ends. And we all think we're safe. But in reality, we're not safe. We are the furthest thing from safe. Thank you for getting to the end of this video. I really appreciate it. Because you, dear viewer, are paying attention to what is basically a rant. Because that's what this is. A rant. So, cheers. Hope you're having a swell day. If you have a moment that you deem unforgettable, it could be anything. The first time you hear a video game song, like an original soundtrack, the first time an enemy is introduced to a specific level, well, mention it in the comments below. I'd really, really appreciate that. But thank you again for watching this video. My name has been Matthias the Corgi, and I hope you have an incredible day. Cheers.